Darkcast Network. Indie pods with a dark side.
And welcome back to Castles and Cryptids, where the castles are haunted and the cryptids are cryptic as fuck. And I'm your host, Alana.
And I'm Kelsey.
And I think this is episode 177.
Yeah.
I just had to check. Wow, we've been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
You would think we'd get
almost
incrementally
200
better at it, but nope. No. Just kidding. I'm like frantically going back, but quietly while the intro's playing, because I realized I flipped ahead in my book because we were picking the other episodes.
Yeah.
Because we gotta get ahead, you guys. We gotta record in advance. That's how these things work. You know that. You're here listening to podcasts. Look at you go. Oh my god. It's we haven't recorded this early in a while too, so I apologize for I just had a cup of tea. Maybe we'll be a little awake this episode. It'll be nice.
Oh my god. You're so funny. The fact that you can have so much of a reaction from drinking tea. You're like, I had just had caffeine. I had a cup of tea. And I'm like, I'm drinking the equivalent of like 7 iced coffees a day. And
That's true. I'm never one of those girlies, but at least I'm not like some people have a cup or two and they're like shaking. But I more meant like at least we won't be like, hopefully Kelsey won't be yawning. No. No.
It's psychosomatic. It's like we record, I yawn. It's not
right. No, we're just like shots fired at each other. No, it's okay.
Yeah, it's like is that a Pavlovian response? Is that right?
Yeah. And it's contagious. Anyway, because if we start saying the word yawn,
I'm going to yawn. I can feel it that I want to right now, but I'm trying to hold it in.
No. Anyway, yeah. How did you guys like last week's episode? We'll just move right along. It was terrible, but also no, it wasn't that terrible. The one before that was pretty rough.
I loved it.
Yeah, the true crime ones are always a little hard to get through. So then we go, okay, let's do something that maybe will be more fun. We hope.
Yeah.
And that's why we did the occult themed episode, which it was kind of fun.
Yeah, it was a lighter one.
Exactly. We went in different directions, like tarot and like incense and fragrances and stuff. It was very like not
it was
exactly
informative.
And it's not what you think of, because people do, maybe hear the word occult and think of like something different and more sinister. So I hope we're helping end the stigma there. That's what we'll do with our tiny platform.
Yeah. Because we're like we're learning lots. We're learning right along with you guys, and then like we want to share what we're learning. We're researching topics.
Exactly. It is. That's always the way this one's been. It's like we don't really know a lot, but we'll look some stuff up and share some fun facts and creating our own little oral history of folklore that we find along the way. Oh man, it's our own specific brand. We don't even know what it is. Anyway.
No.
Yeah. Do I have a fun fact or anything? What should we talk about? Do we have anything to talk about before we get into the episode? I was just telling Kelsey, I guess I should say, I put out our, because we did our horror movie recap on Patreon for last month. And then we ended up talking about The Substance quite a bit for the second half of the last episode, but then I cut it because I was like, this is quite spoilery, and kind of went along with our horror movie one, because that was before we had recorded that one before I had watched the movie, which is the one with Demi Moore that everybody was talking about and getting all the awards. And so yeah,
well
that went over
deserved.
there.
They acted their asses off.
Yeah. I don't know. It's no news to anyone to go watch that, I guess. But like, yeah. But go check out our Patreon if you haven't. And you can get that one at the $5 level or up, because that's where most of the mini-sodes and all the bonus episodes live.
Yeah.
And the video-sodes that there are. Yeah, go check that out. Let us know what you want for... I don't think we picked next month's Patreon, so we're open to ideas.
Not yet. Yeah. We would like feedback. As people are listening, if they have certain types of episodes they like.
I have seen
it's
some
hard
likes
to tell
on there.
sometimes.
It helps.
Yeah. It's hard to tell sometimes, even with our regular episodes, what ones kind of are getting like a little more recognition or more listens and that kind of stuff. So
that's true.
We do appreciate any reviews or comments, suggestions that you guys can leave for us.
5-star ratings. Yes, Good Pods is a good place, but you can also rate on like Spotify and iTunes and all the other majolas. Good Pods does something weird now where if you recommend something and someone listens to it, they give you a sway score. It's bizarre.
Sway!
Yeah, I'm still getting used to it. I'm like, okay. So I'm trying to make sure I still listen to some episodes of things on there and make sure we're out there, because then I don't know, you can't really rate it there, but you could recommend it, so I'm sure that's got to be good for the we're like number 3 in the top indie history on Good Pods still for some crazy reason. So
at the history, see, that's what we don't get.
We hit history. I don't know, I guess we're history coded, who knows. But it's the castles in the title. Maybe could be. That's okay. We like doing historical like crimes and episodes.
What classifies something as historical? Like more than 50 years old? Like what's considered historical? I know a historical building is like 100 or so years. So
yeah. Depends on context. Yeah, for sure.
Damn. I was like, I don't think we've done that many things that are that historical.
Well, we've done enough episodes to have an IMDb page, so figure that one out.
Yeah. We still gotta fix it. We're not American, if you can't tell.
Oh, okay. Well,
because it says
once we're big enough to have a Wikipedia American page that's wrong about us, then we'll know we've made it. Oh my god.
Yeah, it says we're American and that the podcast is distributed out of America, and it's like, no, it very clearly in
America.
Yeah, well, it specifically says like the United States, and I was like, no.
Good God. Oh no. That's wrong. Sorry to tell you.
I don't know about that, about that,
Oh my god, we'll have to start talking in our Canadian accents so people know.
Talk about it.
We'll have to start each episode like, instead of Wine and Crime, where they say, when our
hey, how you know
Minnesotan accents, we'll unleash our worst Canadian accents, eh?
Oh, how about that baked milk, eh?
Yeah.
I've never had baked milk.
Not being nice to our country right now, so let's not go there.
I went on to the Superstore app to check if I wanted to, I don't know, see what was in the flyer, see if I wanted to go grocery shopping. They were just spamming me with a whole bunch of stuff that they were saying proudly made in Canada. And I was like, oh yeah, they're really harping on this tariff thing. They're just like here's the Canadian product. Yeah. And I was like, wow. It was like, here's 45 things that are Canadian. We can just shove in your face. And I'm like, half of this isn't even good. We're on sale. Like, god damn it.
Oh, it was all a farce anyway, but whatever.
Same with the TikTok ban. If somebody creates the problem and then solves it themselves, doesn't mean they did any work.
Don't get me started on TikTok. I can't get into our Castles and Cryptids account.
Oh no.
Whatever. That's a whole nother bottle of fish, because every time I try to reset it, it just keeps trying to do it with my phone number, which then just resets my personal account. I don't even know. It was a bitch to set up a second account. I recall that much.
Damn. Yeah, Facebook was... Facebook and YouTube were a little annoying too when I was trying to set them up. And
yeah, it's like, use a different email address. Okay, fine. But then they want to use your like same phone number for everything or whatever, and you're like, what? Okay.
And then it's like, you can't use this phone number. It's already in use by this account. It's like, well,
I know.
You gotta have some sort of override. Being like, I know, ignore.
Oh my god. If I have to create another account that's Castles Encrypted's podcast number 1, then I'll let you guys know. Or something like that.
We're number 1. We're number 1. And it'll be like number 8.
Make sure all 2 of our followers can go over to the new account. Oh my god. I'm not bitter. I'm just being funny. That's what we do here.
It takes a lot of effort and stuff even to do something that seems like it's just taking a couple minutes to throw together a post. It's like, okay, trying to figure out what you want to put and pictures you want to use, and oh, this is the wrong size, oh, this looks pixelated, oh,
or just like do something, the people that just do something crazy to go viral. I mean, I can't.
Yeah. I just can't. It's like, oh, I've just spent half an hour or 45 minutes on this post that like one person's gonna share. Cool.
Yeah. We're not bitter, guys. It's fine. It's a fun job, we swear. If you want to get into podcasting, I recommend it, but yeah, it will take up a lot of time.
Yes.
Oh my god. Anywho. All that donate on Patreon, so we can all
pay us
full time, and then maybe we'll bitch less. I don't know. Probably not, but we'll see. So, what are we talking about this week? On
like, I don't know, social media
stars and their horrible heinous crimes.
I guess mine didn't end up really being like a social media star. It just had to do with a social media website, I guess.
Social media crimes is the looser way we could maybe just
yeah, it was kind of like I don't want to say weaponized, but I mean,
but she did.
They
just kidding.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it happened more than once.
There's like a few that came up like little listicles when I first Googled that were kind of more on the not murders, but maybe from petty crime to various amounts of destruction and
because there's
chaos.
Obviously there's like what catfishing things that's very popular on social media.
Specific also. We've done that one, I think, on
Patreon. Spamming. Or not spamming, but like phishing emails, that kind of stuff. Here, download this. Hey.
Phishing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Phishing. Phishing.
Oh my god. Okay, I'm sorry. I did see a video that was hilarious about pronouncing all the silent letters in the English language. I can't remember if I sent it to you or Ressa.
Oh.
It was pretty fun.
I think you did, but I was in a place where I couldn't listen to it out loud or anything, and then I think I forgot to go back to it. So I'll listen to it.
Oh, that one is one was kind of like, you have to have the sound on because he's saying hour instead of like, why don't we pronounce it hour, like the H, and anyway, it's so funny. It's stupid.
Yeah, because we already have the word hour, O-U-R, and it's pronounced the same as hour, that's H-O-U-R.
He's like,
hour.
A silent letter day where they all get pronounced, where it'll be very subtle. He's got this little British accent. Yeah. Oh, okay, I'm fine.
Schedule.
Yeah.
We're like, that's Lord. Not, no. Schedule.
That's a rough one.
I hate you. Yeah. They say it with such confidence. Schedule. I'm like, no.
Oh, I don't like
You
that
sound
either.
stupid.
I'm sorry.
Schedule.
Yeah, it doesn't hit my ears right either.
Yeah.
Holy, okay, for 20 minutes. That's funny.
It's okay. We had almost 10 minutes before we did the intro music, I think, so it's not that
That
bad.
is entirely possible. I don't know what I'm talking about half the time.
So, for mine, have you heard, I guess this has happened like a few times, but of a Facebook death list? Have you ever heard of that?
Facebook death list? No.
Yeah.
Specifically, no.
Okay, because it came up in mine. I ran across a little listicle and it had like Facebook death lists, a couple of them that came up, but this one kind of caught my eye out of it.
But yeah, there was a podcast going around that was like some sort of internet kill list, but I think it was called Kill List or something equally simple.
Creepy. Yeah, that's basically what this is. Like it's scary.
No shit.
There's not a lot of information on this. I read probably 15 or 20 sources that all had about the same information. I was like, this is kind of crazy.
Yeah, I had that sort of same problem with my art research.
Yeah. It all started on August 17th in 2010. So not too long ago.
Oh, okay. But sort of earlier days of social media.
Yeah, still. Like kind of peak, I'd say peak Facebook was like 2009, 2010, like the growership, I think. Or like,
yeah, would Instagram
membership was
out?
Really
barely.
Yeah. Because I know I made my account like in high school and that was about this time, so
wow.
Yeah.
Makes me feel a little old. There was no social media when I was in high school. Well, it was just about to be birthed, I suppose.
Yeah.
It
was starting earlier, but people weren't really on it.
Yeah.
Like,
there's this video of Rain as a baby trying to sit up on my early Facebook. So
that's so cute.
Old. Yeah.
Does it show up on your Facebook memories every year?
Oh gosh, no. But it's fun to go back and look at. Yeah, I don't know if I would have taken, like, if it had been more. I'm kind of glad she wasn't, their social media wasn't there. Like, there's not a million photos and stuff of her as a baby all over the internet. I don't think she'd love that. So.
Yeah, it depends. Like,
yeah,
my niece likes it when she knows it's a picture of her, or she thinks like you have a picture of like somebody she knows on the phone. She goes, let me see. Aww. And then you'll like show it to her and she'll be like, that's me. And like she knows what she looked like as a baby, so she'll be like, that's me.
Sweet.
And it's like, yes. Yeah, she likes it.
That's so cute.
And then she'll like turn the phone and be like, did you see? Yeah, she thinks it's cute for now. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We'll see when she gets older. It's all blackmail material. That video we have of her when she's standing in the windowsill. My brother built a really nice fake fireplace in their living room, and there's a window on each side of it, and they put kind of a bench seat under each window, and she's like standing with one hand on the wall and one hand on the fireplace, like in the little like on the bench seat, but like in the window, and then she's dancing like a red light district girl. She's like I don't know, it's hilarious. She looks like she's dancing in the box at the red light district.
Well, that's not where my mind was going. Somebody come here.
No, but it's hilarious.
Yeah,
she's just like dancing weird, and then she does this weird like twerking thing, and it's really jerky. And my sister-in-law like superimposed it in like different layers, so it looks like some like weird montage of her dancing, and it just it's gone now. She took it down, but it was hilarious. The one time I watched it, I was crying. I was laughing so hard.
That's giving me vibes of like George Michael doing the lightsaber video in the Arrested Development.
You're like, this is blackmail.
Over. Yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah.
All right. That's
anyway.
Yeah, I know. We gotta get serious, guys. Okay. I'm ready.
Okay. Buckle up.
Yeah.
So August 17th, 2010, a list appears with the names of 69. I think some stuff said 63 or 66 young people who lived in southern Colombia. And the original list, I guess, was published on a paramilitary style death list. Yeah, so I guess this had been happening. There's different gangs and stuff that would publish these lists.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, no. That's
this
real bad.
Yeah, but I mean it was happening, so authorities didn't take it too seriously because they're pretty young people.
Yeah.
They thought maybe it was a prank or a hoax. And again, this was August 17th. They aren't really thinking too much of it until they review the list more thoroughly, because again, it's 69 people on it. And they realized that two of the people on the list had just been found shot dead 2 days prior, and they were listed the first and the second place on the list.
Oh no.
Yeah, so they were killed 2 days before the list was published the first time.
Okay.
Yeah, and they were the first spot and the second spot on the list, so they really started kind of being like, okay, we got to take this a bit more seriously now. It was the first person was Diego Fernie Jaramillo, who was 16, and then Ebert Munoz Alejandro Ruiz. He was 17. And so young. I guess right, 16 and 17. It's brutal. They were shot and killed on August 15th, and they were actually together riding a motorcycle on the road between the towns of Puerto Asis and Puerto, I want to say, Cecito. And
Puerto Cecito, I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea. I forgot to look up pronunciations. I'm sorry.
It's a tough one. It's sounding all very Spanish though, so you're doing great.
Yeah, I was like, I know a lot of their C's are pronounced Cecitos, so sorry if it's wrong. But their shooter, I guess, was also riding a motorcycle.
Oh wow!
So they weren't shot in separate attacks. They were together at the same time, and then they were both shot, and they were first and second on the list, and then their shooter was on a motorcycle and fled the scene. They didn't get caught.
Oh wow! A drive-by shooting on a motorcycle. Yeah, that's crazy.
Right? Well, they're on a motorcycle, and yeah.
There was a movie that was all Fast and the Furious, but with motorcycles. It was called Torque.
Oh, I've never heard that.
Oh, because it's bad. They covered it on how to get made. And Adam Scott's in it, and it's funny because he's been on other episodes where they covered Fast and the Furious movies. They're like, he's great in this, but it's not.
It's a bad movie. Yeah, a good actor in a bad movie.
Right? When the Fast and the Furious franchise did so much better, this one was not great.
Yeah. According to the Colombian paper El Espacio, the Facebook message that had since been blocked.
Okay.
When so it really started picking up. Yeah. And
yeah, okay.
What had it, I guess the people who had originally seen the list stated that it had warned families to leave the area or face the consequences. Part of the message said, please, as a family, urge them to leave town in less than 3 days. Otherwise, we will be obligated to realize such acts as those of August 15th, which is when the two were shot.
As a family?
So,
what does that mean?
Yeah, okay. They wanted yeah, that's what I thought at first. It was getting trying to encourage whole families to leave.
Right.
But most of the stuff was saying it was actually encouraging the families to convince the people named on the list to leave town. But, like, get your whole family to convince them to leave.
Jeez.
Which was a little confusing.
And extreme. Like, you think that's going to convince people to do that? I don't know, man.
Well, something else. A couple other things happened, and then...
Yeah, bodies are piling up. It's not great. Okay.
Next person, there's Norby Alexander Vargas. He was 19, and he was killed on August 20th. So, 3 days after the list was published, and 5 days after the other two were shot. He was also killed by a gunman who was traveling on a motorcycle, and his name was the third name on the list.
Oh, damn. Okay. Yeah, so...
Yeah.
They're not de-escalating at all.
No. And I remember there's like 69 names on this list, and they're all young people. Like...
This is crazy.
Right? It's really creepy to me. Another young man, a 16-year-old student named Juan Pablo Zambrano Anacona. He was wounded in the same incident.
Sorry.
No.
I'm so sorry. I don't know what to do. No. This is terrible. Like, they're so young.
Yeah. Juan, he was wounded in the same incident when he actually tried to chase down the gunman that had killed Vargas. So I don't think he was like specifically targeted, but when he tried to chase the motorcyclist who was like fleeing the scene, he got wounded in some manner. There was no details about it though, and he was only mentioned in a couple of the sources even.
Okay, so he didn't die.
I don't think so, but he was injured.
Good. I feel better now because
shitty. But three people.
3 people are dead?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Fuck.
So that's on the August 20th. Then later in the day, August 20th, another death list, this time containing the names of 31 young women, was circulated on Facebook and also circulated by email.
Oh, okay. So who's all this going to? And the police know? If it's going by email?
People were reporting it to the police, and now they're taking it seriously, but they don't know who's sending it. Like, it's really weird. Yeah. Like, where's the where's the from email? Where's the Facebook original poster account? Like, all that kind of stuff. It's really bizarre to me.
It can be hard to track down the actual IP address, I guess.
I don't know. It shouldn't be that hard in 2010 for them to do this.
I have no idea. I just read and watched the girl with the dragon tattoo.
Yeah. I'm hacking into the mainframe.
I always felt like that when I was using the old travel system because it was invented before the mouse, so everything was like type, tab, you know, like, ugh, whatever. Very archaic. Yeah.
Our one old insurance program that most of us didn't even have logins to. It was like the supervisor and manager that could access it still.
Yeah.
It was like that. It was like you had to press R to select and E to escape and all that kind of stuff. Cause it was no mouse. You had to know all the key shortcuts. You had like a manual of how you navigate it.
Like the codes, the way it would sound insane when people would come over to help you in that system, and you'd be like trying to price tickets or something. Well, did you $T:$B it? Like all this just crazy. It's like that saves the fare. You got to do that. Okay, you know, it just sounds insane. Like you're like, what?
God damn. Yeah, you're like, what are you saying right now?
I know. I still remember that. I haven't been travel in years. Oh my god,
that's hilarious. Did you $T::B it? Yeah, my mom's like, I remember the shortcuts you had to use in when you were typing, before like Word and everything was invented, when you were typing to
Oh my
like
God.
make brackets around something or bold something or put something in italics, there was like
commands. Okay.
yeah, commands you had to put at the beginning and command you had to put at the end to close out like
Oh
that
God.
command. It was like, oh my God, no.
So crazy looking back now, right?
The knowledge that has been lost by things improving. Just like
Oh
me
my.
not being able to spell because of suggestions in spell check. I was like, now I can't spell. And when spell
Right.
check doesn't have a
Yeah.
suggestion for me on what I'm trying to say, I'm just like, guess I gotta come up with a different word.
Oh, sometimes you could be one letter off. It's like, I have no fucking idea what you're trying to say. You're like, okay.
Really? Yeah. It's suggesting a totally different, like,
Yeah.
word that's like 6 more letters long. And you're like, why do you think I'm trying to say that instead of just like replacing the E with an A? Like,
Right.
so stupid.
Why isn't technology smarter?
Yeah. Yeah, so this time, yeah, now there's a second list that's been published. This time for sure I know this one was on Facebook. I think the other one also, it said it was like a paramilitary death list. And then other sources said it had appeared on Facebook as well, but I'm not sure on that one. But this one
Okay.
definitely was put on Facebook.
What did you say
Around the
about
same time.
paramilitary? Sorry.
Yeah, there's like paramilitary like gangs and groups and stuff that would
Oh.
post these kind of like death lists, but it was mostly like activists and um political figures that they were planning on like attacking. It wasn't 16-year-olds. uh,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
This is wild. Oh.
Yeah. Young people around this time in Colombia, in this town, started reporting receiving threatening phone calls. Leaflets were printed out and like left on vehicles around town, telling people to like leave. If somebody had seen the names published on the list, like those people were getting harassed.
Oh my gosh. Even if
And
you'd seen the list, you were.
yeah, if you had
Okay.
seen the list, so you knew who was being targeted, like they started harassing the people that were on the list, and the people on the list didn't even know why they were on the list. So, but they're getting harassed by everybody in town being like, you should leave, like why are you still here, and
Oh
all that
boy.
kind of stuff.
I
As a
don't
result,
even
many of the
know.
young people and even their families ended up fleeing the town following all these threats from like everybody.
I mean, it would be terrifying if you saw your name on something
Right?
like that. Like, I don't know. You wouldn't want to have to leave, but at what point do you, for the safety,
Yeah.
yeah, of yourself and your family? That's tough.
Some people named on the lists were suspected of being involved in petty crimes. Some of them were suspected sex workers, and so like they were getting harassed for those reasons. And then other people were like known to be community activists and that kind of stuff. So
Hmm.
yeah, it wasn't focusing on like people committing crimes or activists. It was just like a weird group of almost 100 young people being named and like, we're gonna kill you.
What the hell? So we don't even know why
It didn't
they're.
really seem to have a
Yeah.
motive of like, oh, we're trying to clean up the streets, or oh, we're trying to get rid of activists because we don't like what you're promoting or something like that. It was just like a random.
Right, because I keep just thinking, oh, well, it's. I guess this is something maybe we think to dismiss things, but gang on gang violence, right? Then you're like, oh, these are the type of
Yeah,
people that are into this
they're
sort of thing,
targeting.
or maybe that's I guess I have something that was talking about some similar stuff in my like research into
Mm.
I don't know general social media crime shit, but like whoa, none of this. I didn't know
Yeah.
about any of this case, which is crazy.
Yeah, there's been some other Facebook death lists, but this one,
Whoa.
I thought it was kind of interesting that there was like a second list that was published, and
No
yeah,
like
it was just
podcast
weird.
that I know of. Yeah, has ever even mentioned this in passing. It's like, what?
Right?
Like, that would be bigger.
Crazy. So there's an ombudsman. I hate that word. We had that when I worked in insurance. They're kind of like a government official that like is kind of like a regulator. But from Wikipedia, because it said like the ombudsman got involved in Colombia, and I was like, what does that even mean? Because I was like, I'm used to like insurance ombudsman, and you like, if you have a complaint about your insurance company, you can like take it to the ombudsman, and they'll like investigate.
Some sort of overseer, sort of. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
It's one of those words where I see it and I'm like, I never remember what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, so hard to say. Ombudsman.
Ombudsman.
So from Wikipedia, the Ombudsman's Office of Colombia is the national government agency that is charged with overseeing the protection of civil and human rights within the legal framework of the Republic of Colombia. The Ombudsman, or People's Defender, is an official appointed by the president and elected by the Chamber of Representatives of Colombia to head this agency. So they got involved because they're protecting civil and human rights, and they're like, these people are like getting targeted. We gotta figure out what's going on.
Because from what all I know about Colombian crime from Gloria's Modern Family's Gloria, it's terrible. No, like they imply
I read something. I don't know if I had it. No, I don't even have it in my notes. I ran across something, one of the sources that said that about 550 maybe people are displaced from their homes every day in Colombia due to like drug activity and stuff. I was like, holy shit, like 500 and some people every single day.
Like the drug cartels are pretty bad, probably.
Yeah, and like the paramilitary groups and all the activity and everything that's going on. Like, jeez.
Scary.
So that's what the ombudsman does. They called on the youth protection authorities to get involved, and they requested an
Sorry.
Yipa.
I think it's the sugar. I've determined my problem is I get too much sugar and then I just can't stop myself. I'm going to tamp it
down. They requested an investigation be started, and the ombudsman also noted that I'm definitely not going to say this right, the Los Rastrojos gang, it was a drug cartel and paramilitary group. They said that they were present in some of the towns of Porto Asís. So like, because the first list that listed like the 60-something boys on it, because that was like a paramilitary list, and then the second list was like a Facebook list that targeted 31 girls. They thought like maybe this gang was involved because they were in the area at the time.
Okay, sure, check them out.
Yeah, so he kind of like appealed to the public, saying like, obviously this group is dangerous. They execute violent acts. They spawn community conflicts. They impose their will through intimidation and dispensing punishment against those culturally and socially stigmatized. He also said that they were also known for threatening community leaders, merchants, and even cab drivers. So they're just like...
Oh, great. Yeah. Pillars of the community. Totally. Not spreading terror around at all. Yeah.
Uplifting members. Jewels. Jewels of the town.
Good Lord.
And then I guess other reports at the time say that the ombudsman's warning also mentioned the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, or FARC, F-A-R-C.
I love it.
FARC, which was also in the area at the time. So they're like, they could have been involved.
Okay. I mean, yeah, that's just where do they turn? Like, they have no information to go on. That's so So scary.
There was a little thing from ABC News who said Vanda Felbab Brown, an expert in illicit economies and Colombia at the nonprofit Brookings Institute, said that the Facebook death list was reminiscent of the hit lists distributed by the paramilitary groups that terrorized Colombia in the 1980s and 1990s. So I think she's kind of saying that, like, they had just evolved to incorporate Facebook in some way, instead of...
So they've been doing this for a while.
Yeah. That it seemed to go along with that. Then there was also something interesting. I only saw this on one source. It was PK Ling on WordPress, who said, in their little write-up, it was all basically the same kind of information, but they had a little thing saying that last year the former president's son was a target, this is in Colombia, when a Facebook group appeared that was called I Will Kill Geronimo Yerby.
Wow.
And a university art student was arrested but released in March after the legal deadline for his trial had expired. So, like, like, that was another time that in Colombia, Facebook had been utilized. This time was like a threat against the president's son.
Wow. But nothing really came of it other than the
No, because
arrest.
the legal deadline for his trial had expired. So, like, he hadn't gone to trial, and then they're like, oh, it's been too long. He's probably been in prison or something for too long before his trial, so we had to release him.
Difficult to convict something like that, or like, because we haven't had social media that long, so there's like no specific, laws.
Probably in 2010 too.
Yeah.
That was like, or I guess that would be 2009 because they said like last year.
Right.
Yeah, that would be about 2009 sometime. Yeah, so they were probably still trying to figure out all that kind of stuff. It'd be different now.
Still
it'd be
are.
Like, it'd be like issuing verbal threats or something, which you can get charged with.
I guess. Yeah. I would love to hear someone like Sinisterhood cover some social media crimes. I'm sure they have, but like it's with one of them being a lawyer. She can sometimes speak to some of that about how it could be. You could call it this, but how do you connect something someone said online to that case if you don't have a clear cut defense? I don't know, or not defense,
because I mean
prosecution. A case.
It's hard to say because yes, you can like track something back to somebody's IP address and that kind of stuff, but how do you prove it was them sitting in front of the computer at that moment? Like,
that too. Yeah.
How do you prove that was them? It was just like driving offenses. You can get a photo radar ticket, and that goes against like your vehicle because they can prove your vehicle was there, but it doesn't go against you necessarily because they can't prove it was you in the driver's seat.
Sometimes it wasn't. Sometimes it's your spouse.
Yeah. So
yeah,
it's like, who's to say it was you that created that Facebook group using your computer? Who's to say somebody was like using your computer or anything like that?
And that's if they can.
Yeah, I can see how that makes it more difficult.
Yeah, because there's ways you can obviously disguise.
You can like spoof yourself and
where everything's coming from. Yeah, I can't think of the words. You know the words. The hackers, they hide.
Like, that was like another time. I guess ABC News had gotten. They were about the only one that I saw that had a comment from a Facebook spokesperson. Spokesperson.
Purseman. It's cool. Over here.
I said like we reached out to Facebook for comment and they declined or we did not hear back. But this is the only one I saw that had something. And it's just a very generic PR statement. We take user security very seriously and reached out to local law enforcement as soon as we became aware of the issue in Colombia. So like they're they're saying something by saying nothing, I guess.
And it's difficult because, yeah, with these new things like social media, they like one, couple college students or whoever that invent the whole thing don't know all the ways, all the far-reaching like repercussions it's going to have, and how we're going to have to deal with that. Like we need so many smart people to figure all that out.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Police were working on all their investigations and even ended up offering a reward of 5 million pesos, around $2,750.
Yeah, so just said
I
pesos.
assume that's American.
I was way less impressed. Sorry.
Yeah. I assume that about 2,700 is also American, so and that was for information on the killings, like, and probably the lists too, because they still couldn't really figure that out.
Reward money, yeah.
And that's kind of where this all ends.
No.
Wildly. The individual or individuals responsible for the 3 killings and for the 2 death lists have never been officially identified, which is wild to me.
I don't like it.
Because it's like, oh, Facebook cares, but it's like, how much did you help the investigation? Because like the lists were posted to there, so like, how do you not have the user's information? And then
the ability to find that out. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is all unsolved. They have no...
Yeah, gets murdered? Nothing. Like, they all had to leave town?
No, nobody else. Just the 3 of them, and then a bunch of people left town. So...
Right.
And they were first, second, and third on the list. So... It's very weird. I don't like
that. It's so...
yeah, unresolved. So technically it remains unsolved. They believe it was some sort of paramilitary group, but they can't say definitively because they don't know. And nobody like came forward and took responsibility, which normally people would. They'd be like, oh, we're doing this for a reason or for a cause or something, and nothing like that ever happened.
You're on our turf. So, I don't know. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they weren't gang type people targeted.
No, like it said that some of the girls were involved in sex work that were on the second list. Some people had been involved in like petty crimes, like minor crimes, and then some people were known to be like community activists, so like were like outspoken or wanting change or that kind of stuff. So it was like wasn't like people just crimes or just activists. It was like just anybody that they wanted to put on the list, I guess. They just put on there.
Random sampling almost.
Yeah. And then again, like the first list was like demanding them to leave town, and saying like your families should be convincing you to leave town. And then after, like, obviously the second killing, or I guess the third death, they really took it seriously and were like, okay, and then a bunch of people fled. So,
it's totally
it's really weird
that they had to leave.
It stood out to me because I was like, oh, everything was like, it's unsolved. They don't ever really figure out who did it. And I was like, that's wild to me. Everything else was basically solved. I was like, this is so weird. And then they're like, there's other times that like Facebook was used like this or that kind of stuff.
And then emails as well.
Yeah, they said one of the second email was getting, the second list was getting emailed to people as well. It's like, so you can't track down the email sender? Like, it's just weird to me because they have stuff to go on, but it's like they say they investigated it, but there's no information that I could find about what they actually investigated. So
I don't like it. It's very
I know,
unhappy.
That's why I wanted to cover it.
To bum us all out. No.
Boy. To spread awareness.
For sure, though. Really.
Because, it seems weird to me that in almost 15 years, they haven't figured this out. And it's like,
and it's not your typical case that gets covered on podcasts like ours. People, they cover your I wrote it down because I was like, this is when I keep hearing about Ruby Frankie and her partner and them had 6 kids, and they were like, oh, we're vloggers, look at our lovely family, and then they would like abuse their kids and withhold food from them and horrible
oh,
things that
jeez.
were, yeah, people were like, that's not right. And like,
Yeah.
like, yeah, those are the ones I tend to hear about anyway. Nothing like, I haven't heard anything about this one. So
Yeah, I thought this one would be a little bit different to do. I was like, oh.
Right. It is different. It's different from mine.
Yeah. Ooh.
They're both
we'll
horrible,
have variety.
but... yeah.
Yeah.
Horribly different.
We'll take a differently horrible and horribly different.
We'll take a mental health break.
Yeah. We'll get refills on our tea or something. We'll get a refill of some kind, and we'll be back.
I need more water. Yeah. All right, and we will probably play a lovely promo. So take a listen, and we'll be right back.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Mallory Jenner Robinson. Join me on A Hateful Homicide, a true crime and investigative journalism podcast dedicated to telling the stories regarding the murders and hate crimes of our transgender, non-binary, intersex, and two-spirit community members in the United States and abroad. This is A Hateful Homicide.
And we're back. Yeah. Thank you for listening to our wonderful Darkcast promo that we just played. I don't know which one it was, but we'll figure it out. They're all great shows.
Yeah.
Yes. So, social media star crimes, or whatever you want to call them. I looked up Ballistical and found this one, hadn't heard of it. And it's, at least I can say it's solved. There's one good thing.
I know, I had another one that I thought about covering because I saw a Netflix thing about it, and it was...
Oh.
And then I was like, oh my god, maybe I shouldn't cover it. Because...
Is it bad?
No, I feel like the video and... because it had to do with like people that posted to like Instagram and TikTok a lot.
Okay.
And it had a lot of really good interviews with like friends and family and people that knew like the criminals. So I feel like it was really well done. I was like, I don't think that would translate as well on a podcast format as it did like being able to watch it visually. So yeah, I was like,
what was that one called? Do you remember?
It was about the it was like a Bitcoin scam.
Oh, with the
it was like the greatest
or whatever.
Yeah, it was
like okay. Yeah, I think we watched that. They posted like these. She was like a terrible rapper.
Yeah,
a terrible white rapper, I should say. Yes. Okay, that was insane.
So funny. Yeah, I thought about covering that one. I was like, oh, that would be a little hard.
Oh no, but you guys should watch that though. That was crazy.
Yeah, sorry, I'm gonna pull up the name. Hold on.
Oh, for sure. I do not remember the name either. I thought, Bitcoin. I can't remember anything.
Biggest heist ever.
Oh, that's probably why the name drew us in.
Yeah, their crimes earned them the nickname Bitcoin Bonnie and Clyde because they steal like so much money. It's like billions, isn't it?
It was pretty. Yeah, it got pretty big, which I was surprised. It's just like these guys they seem like idiots. I don't know. Right.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. So I thought about covering that one at first, and then I was like, yeah, that would be a little hard to do. I feel like I couldn't do it like justice, you know?
Right. It's like when I did that
And I
one
guess
with
it's good because you had also heard of it, so it would have.
Right. Well, it can be good sometimes. You can be like, oh, I kind of can talk about this, but then go watch this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Watch it just for the
Yeah.
terrible rapping videos, and then
That's
even the one guy that's the director or like co-writer of some
I
of the
don't
rap
remember.
songs is also like just sitting there cringing, having to listen to it. And they're just like, yeah, so you helped co-write this song. Like, what do you think? And they play it, and everybody else is like, in their interviews is laughing, and then the co-writer's sitting there and they're like, it has good parts, and you're just like, oh, he hated it too.
Don't ask me about this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Entertaining for sure.
Oh, that reminds. Yeah, and we had talked about on our Patreon when we were talking about like the good and the mediocre and whatever horror movies we'd watch, that we should do a bad movie rewatch, because we were talking about then. You were talking about like the Evil Bong series that you had found, or like,
Yeah.
like what was it, like 10 movies for like $3 or something bin.
Yeah, there's all these sets. I haven't seen them at Walmart, but that's where we got them like
Right.
over 10 years ago now. Yeah, they would
Oh
have
yeah, I've
like
seen the
a 10
bins
movie
there.
bundle at the bin, and it would be all these like B horror movies.
Yeah.
But it would kind of have a theme. It would have like, these are creature feature ones, and these ones are zombies,
That's
or that kind of
awesome.
thing. Yeah.
No, I know they did that on Sinisterhood's Patreon, because they said they did it. I think they ended up watching something called like Cocaine Werewolf, and I was like, that sounds intriguing.
I've seen Cocaine Bear, which I enjoy.
Right.
It's hilarious. But not Cocaine Werewolf.
No, I'll have to check it out. All right. So the fun stops here, and I don't know, this one, I actually had a problem where I don't usually have, where I got done and that was all the information, and I was like, do I add more stuff? So
Yeah.
it might be a little like quote heavy at times. I don't know. We'll see.
That's okay. I think quotes are better sometimes, like especially if it involves people that are directly involved. I feel like then you can trust that a little bit more than just people that are just putting information in. You're like, oh, okay, well, this person supposedly actually said this.
Right. We kind of know exactly what happened, and I don't have much backstory or aftermath really, but
I know mine was light on the information too, so maybe this will be a shorter episode.
You never know. So this is the case of Claire Miller. Yeah.
Doesn't sound familiar.
No, it's, I don't think, well known, but and also, yeah, she was a minor, so that doesn't help the information gathering.
Oh yeah, same with mine. Most of the sources I read didn't even name the victims, and I was like, well, at least gotta confirm their names. Like,
oh my gosh, yeah,
like the first one I read didn't even list their names or anything.
Oh great, that's, I was
like,
nice.
You should at least name the victims that were killed. Like all their other listicle ones had their names. Yeah.
So Claire was born Claire Elena Miller to her parents Mark and Mary Miller. It's spelled Elaina, which I thought was an interesting spelling. I haven't seen before. Yeah. The family also had another child, which was her older sister Helen, and they lived in a small town in Pennsylvania, which I don't know if I spelled right. No, it's not. Anyway, doesn't matter. She and her sister attended Lancaster, I guess, country day school. I always thought it was county, but it said country, so we're going with that.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know. It was a small school, though. It's only about 550 students, so you could tell it's kind of a small town.
That's very small.
Yeah. Yeah, I think even my high school had like several thousand. And I'm from small Fredericton.
Yeah, like our graduating classes were normally like each year we're normally over 1,000 people graduating, and there was like 3 grades in the school at a time.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy. So her older sister went there as well, but she also did suffer from cerebral palsy. So she was a
Okay.
wheelchair user and required quite constant care. She was 19 though. So Claire enjoyed playing guitar, singing, and making videos for her TikTok account. She made lip sync videos, sort of silly little videos where she would catch her dad on camera and I don't know, just kind of, I don't know, annoy him, I guess. Just kind of like random stuff and
That's nice.
yeah, like anime. She also enjoyed anime meme, like recreating them in videos, which I couldn't name an anime meme if I tried. So
Yeah,
I
I mean I watched like a couple like Japanese anime ones. Like
don't know. Okay.
me and my friends were into Fruits Basket a
Oh, really?
while, but
Sounds
yeah, and then
interesting.
I think Vampire Night we watched for a little bit and read the
Okay.
mangas for some of them, but yeah, I could not tell you what any of the memes are like from anything.
It sounds like a tough thing, a type of meme to recreate, I'll say.
Yeah.
But that's, I guess, the type of videos she put out. But and she had a decent following. I mean, what did I say earlier
More
with our
than we have.
TikTok? She's got how much more is this? It's 22,000. So yeah, she had a few followers. But yes, obviously things were going to take a turn at some point. So she's 14 at the time, and
Oh
this is the night.
wow. That
She's
is
really
young.
young. Yeah. So I don't even know what. Well, it said the year she was born, which was the same year my daughter was born, was 2007. So I guess she's the same age as Rain. So she must be 17 now. Spoilers. Okay, let's get into it.
Yeah. Okay, so it's obviously really recent. I guess I should have clued in for the fact that like it's TikTok, which is fairly
It's
recent.
TikTok. Yes, it's TikTok. It's now the night of February 21st, 2022. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just coming up on 3 years now then. So, Claire just got up in the middle of the night and crept into her sister's bedroom and looked down at her sleeping form. And, trigger warning, she then stabbed her defenseless sister several times before placing a pillow over her face.
I think I may have heard about this actually.
Oh, really?
But not in details, but when you said like TikTok and then something about a wheelchair, I was like it wasn't clicking, but now it is. I know like the outlying like sprinkle of headlines probably, but not details. Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, the details are obviously horrifying. Yeah, she just for no apparent reason stabbed her to death. It said then she calmly called 911 and informed them that she had just killed her sister. And I think they thought
bizarre.
I think they thought she was confused.
Joking.
Yeah, having some sort of episode. Most sources said Miller would later claim she heard voices in her head that night. It must have been encouraging to like act on, I guess, those voices in your head that tell you to do bad things, maybe? I don't know.
Wow. Did she have
Yeah,
like mental illness, like a history of hearing voices, or did it just start one day and an hour later her sister's dead?
we'll get into it a bit with the trial.
Okay.
They talk about it a little bit. So Claire then waited for the police to arrive, and when they did, her parents' lives were then turned upside down. Who at that point had not known anything was even happening. So
Damn.
yeah, when police arrived, Claire was literally just standing outside in the snow, barefoot and bloody. I'm so sorry. This one sucks. So Helen had been stabbed 7 times, twice in the neck. Where was it? It was this jaw and somewhere else. I didn't put for some reason. I had to go back and find it, but I didn't. It was just, excessive. And another gruesome detail that the knife was still in her neck when they got there. But the pillow was over her face, so you couldn't tell at first what had happened to Helen. And also her hands were up near her head, but she didn't have any defensive wounds because she couldn't even take care of herself. There's no way she could have done anything.
Yeah, she had been asleep too.
Yeah.
Probably didn't know what happened until a fatal wound had already been delivered, you know?
Yeah, I would hope it would have been very quick.
Jeez.
And not horrifyingly scary. She was definitely truly a helpless victim, which her sister obviously knew, which does make it all the more horrible. Obviously, resuscitation efforts were then unsuccessful, and she was pronounced dead at 4:13 a.m. She had called the police at like 1:08 or something, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The Millers were just in complete shock and trying to understand what had happened with their only 2 children under their very noses.
Yeah. That's like
bad.
Yeah, when a sibling kills like somebody in the family or anything, it's like you're like, it doesn't just affect the family, it is the whole family. Like the whole family is done. It's not like somebody outside attacking a family. It's like, well, your own attacked them. Like,
it must have been horrible for them.
I can't imagine. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's no way. Like, you can't imagine. Like, she's always going through something because no one just unprovoked stabs their sibling. You can't imagine taking out Trav. Like, you just, that's not, we don't let it get to that.
Yeah, like for the amount like siblings argue or get in fights or that kind of stuff, I feel like that, I don't know, blows off the steam or like tension or that kind of stuff. Like,
specifically
that
females,
to keep
women,
stuff bottled.
girls don't usually physically fight and escalate.
Yeah, but I feel like that, like, this kind of attack seems more like the person like bottled it up, where I wouldn't necessarily say you see that with siblings, like stuff being bottled up over a long time. And
yeah, you would think they just snapped. Something in them snapped.
Yeah.
A switch was flipped, so to speak. But
jeez,
it's rough because it obviously must take a toll to be the sibling that is able-bodied, and then your other sibling is not, and they require more care. But like, there's pictures of them happy, smiling together, you know. It's like, obviously they probably had a good relationship. I don't know. It's very sad. So then Claire
seems so weird to me, because like, we have, well, not in our family, but like extended family, they have friends where the younger kid has like a bunch of health problems and stuff, and then had like stuff that's very, very like serious and quite rare and stuff, so they require like extra schooling and assistance that way. And medical, they have to see like certain types of doctors and everything, and I don't know, like there's probably resentment there, but there's also, I don't know, like celebrating the milestones of like, because you're the older sibling, so it's like, hey, like,
Yeah.
you used to not be able to do this, but now you can, or that
Right.
kind of stuff. Like when the girl started like talking more, because she used to, basically it was just like the mom and dad and her sister that could understand her. When you would try and talk to her, be like, oh, I like your shoes, and she'd be like, thanks, but she like, you couldn't communicate with her any more than that. And now
Okay.
she's speaking in like full sentences, and it's only been like a
Oh.
year or so. So when you tell her something, she'd be like, thank you, my mom picked it out, or I picked it out, and
Oh, that's
everything. And you can actually
nice.
have a conversation with her. So instead of it feeling like such a burden, you're like really celebrating like all the milestones and like any happy things that happen,
Yeah.
because it's like, oh, so like I can't imagine, I don't know, like just like living in that resentment of it, because it's like the person's doing the best they can, like
Oh,
they
for
can't help
sure. And I don't
that.
know that necessarily she was. It's just something that might have played a factor, and
Yeah,
they kind of talk about that a bit. But yeah, because it's like I totally agree with you. It's like it's still your sibling. I mean, you're
yeah, they can't help it,
all right.
like,
Ugh.
yeah. But I guess like a 14-year-old probably doesn't quite understand that maybe the same way.
I don't know. I went. Oh, it's not gonna get any better. I'm sorry. I'll just say
No
that.
shit.
Well, I mean,
Okay.
no one else dies. Is that good?
A
Oh boy.
little.
Yeah. So, okay, where were we? Claire was then arrested and taken into custody to await trial. There was to be next a planned preliminary hearing, and this would help determine if she would be tried as an adult or as a juvenile.
Yeah. I mean, that's a really serious offense. So,
Yeah, and I think every state even treats it differently, because I have a little bit
oh yeah.
on
I
that.
think I think it kind of got to go case by case almost.
Yeah, it depends if it's like a petty crime and whatnot.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not. But yeah, she treats it very callously at first, and like nothing happened.
Wow.
Because like some of these salacious details are like probably what people remember most. So while being held for questioning in the aftermath, Claire was heard to utter some extremely disturbing and callous remarks that would be, in my words, repeated in the press ad nauseum. So I'll just keep it brief. But she said they brought her food while she'd been held, because it was the early morning and then whatever. So they brought her McDonald's, and she said, "Ooh, McDonald's. I would have killed someone sooner if I knew I would get McDonald's." So there was that.
Wow.
Yeah. And like,
I thought
yeah.
she was going to complain that it wasn't cooked properly, like me and crab
Oh,
dinner, but
like what?
I'm running away because
Oh
I
my
don't like your macaroni and cheese.
Oh God, no. That's coming from someone. I would never even joke. Yeah, I don't even.
Yeah, that's
And I love McDonald's breakfast, and most people know that about me, but that's just too much.
yeah, that's like brutal to say.
Oh yeah. And then like later her sorry. Later her cell phone rang, and she said this remark, cuz it was her phone went off, and it was like the Halloween theme, Halloween movie theme or
Do,
something.
do, do. Oh, I think
Wait.
that went straight into the Jeopardy theme. Sorry. I was like,
Oh God.
do, 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 do.
No, I can't. No, I can't do it. All I can hear is the shh, shh, bah, bah, bah.
Oh, yeah.
It's
That's also a
anyway, it's
good one.
iconic. And she goes, "I'm Michael Myers, my sister." That's what she said.
Oh, cool.
Right.
Great job.
Very. So you think that's something she might come to regret saying once she's been medicated? So this quote said, in the state of penitentiary. Nope. This is why we write out words. And God. It's not as bad as last week where I could not say the word eucalyptus. Oh my God,
Yeah.
It was frustrating when I was editing.
You're like, just say it. Just say it.
I couldn't. I just couldn't. Oh, fuck. So, in the state of Pennsylvania, it's usually treated as an adult crime unless the minor defendant petitions to have it moved. Juvenile focuses on rehab and includes supervision until age 21 if it serves the public interest, end quote. Well, and that quote. Quote, during a preliminary hearing, Judge David Workman said that Miller had multiple mental health diagnoses, including gender dysphoria and hallucinations. So that came up. Yeah, the hallucinations are probably what was pretty important to the case. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although they don't specifically say how they manifested, I guess. Robert D. Beyer, Miller's attorney, said that after the hearing that Miller has shown marked improvements and is still being treated. And then he went on to speak about how the pandemic has worsened mental health issues in kids and young people.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously true. And that,
like,
fear,
socialization,
depression,
anxiety.
isolation. Yeah, it all, we know. It's not good.
People are like, I gotta relearn how to, how physical body language works, because you weren't around people sometimes, especially if people were working remotely. They just don't it's just different.
Yeah, going to school remote. Oh yeah, that was rough. I think that was a rough time. So at that hearing, here's another quote. At that hearing, Beyer said that Miller believed she was stabbing a hallucination of a woman, a version of herself that told her she was ugly and a failure. Okay, so I guess that's as much as they really get into the hallucination defense.
So she
I don't know.
wasn't
really
seeing
know.
her sister. It was hallucination of herself.
But if that's the case, then why was she so callously like, "I'm Michael Myers, my sister"?
Yeah, that.
Didn't think you were doing that.
Yeah, or saying you would have killed somebody sooner for McDonald's. That doesn't. Those two don't work together, really.
It doesn't seem to add up, but I'm not a mental health expert by any means, but this is a rough one. It's hard to put myself in her position.
Yeah. Unless
it was
that's really weird.
Yeah, sorry. It was decided to leave it in adult court, and by the time it was decided that she's, I think, 15. By the time it goes to trial, which is in early 2023, she is 16. So
wow,
they getting closer to being an adult anyway.
Yeah.
The trial was presided over by Judge Jeffrey Wright. And in the meantime, Claire was held at the Youth Intervention Center. In a statement after the hearing, District Attorney Heather Adams said that the prosecutors don't dispute that Miller suffered from a mental health event at the time of this offense, but it legally did not excuse the conduct. So, we gotta hold her accountable and get her the mental health help she needs.
Yeah, exactly. You can do both, because if she actually understood what she did, killed her sister, then the jokes about it afterwards, that a person wouldn't have made those. If you didn't realize what you were doing because you didn't see your sister or whatever, you shouldn't be making jokes like that.
Yeah, once you quote unquote come out of it or come to.
Yeah, once you realize, or you're more aware of like the situation or circumstance you're in, I feel like you wouldn't have made those kind of jokes.
Yeah, I don't know if she's still quite unstable at that time or not.
Yeah.
Hopefully
Weird.
we'll see
Yeah, it's
she
hard
gets
to
to
say.
start to
True.
do better. Yeah. So that DA went on to say the sentence holds her accountable for the crime committed, but balances the nature of this offense, her young age, her mental condition at the time, and the protection of society. So I think they were trying to consider all the factors, but
yeah, I can appreciate like you have to treat both, right? Like
it's not all about retribution. It should be
punishment.
about the
Yeah.
rehabilitation. Yeah. So Claire Miller pleaded guilty but mentally ill to third-degree murder. That was on a Friday afternoon, March 10th, for fatally stabbing her sleeping 19-year-old sister, Helen, in the family's Mannheim Township home 2 years ago. Oh, that was at the time of that article, probably. I found a quote about how that means. Under state law, guilty but mentally ill means Miller, as a result of mental disease or defect, lacks substantial capacity either to appreciate the wrongfulness of her conduct or to conform her conduct to the requirements of the law. So I guess like it's diminished maybe responsibility in that sort of vein, because she should have known it was wrong, but there was still stuff going on with her at the time. Is how I can understand it.
Like if she thought it was a hallucination of like her or something, then yeah, like
some sort of manifestation of something.
Yeah.
And just they touch on how hard it was for the parents during the trial here. Quote, the usual. Yeah. Right. Sorry. Yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off. It's obviously doubly hard for them.
Yeah.
It said the usual chasm between the prosecution and defense tables collapses today, Wright said. Mr. and Mrs. Miller faced the heartbreaking challenge of sitting in support of both the victim and the accused. For a family who has already faced such great loss, today's proceedings undoubtedly risk intensifying the pain that has defined the past 2 years.
I mean, they lose either way. It doesn't matter what they decide. It's lose-lose in every situation.
Yeah, they can at least hope to get this daughter back and healthier. At some point.
Yeah.
The mother testified to say, "We love both of them. I know Claire did not mean to do this. We lost Helen and we don't want to lose Claire too." Just like you said. Yeah. We don't want her to be punished, not get help, and be put away for a long period for something that was out of her control. We can't lose her too. Prosecutors argued Claire's text showed a desire to hurt someone. The defense argued she had been suffering psychosis, depression, and anxiety. It's the teenage cocktail. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, like...
It's rough.
Oh, I mean, I don't know. I try and think about it normally. Like, there's some sort of warning signs or anything like that, or...
Right.
Especially, like, I feel like hallucinations or psychosis or something, there's, like, events before this, like, that would have seemed off, or that you could normally with, like, looking back on it, you'd be like, oh, like, these situations seem different, but it doesn't seem like they have any examples of that.
Right, like her videos didn't get darker, and she wasn't...
Yeah.
Like, that we know of, talking...
But even, like, the family doesn't
murder?
say, oh, yeah, like, leading up to it or in the weeks leading up to it, some of the behavior started to escalate or something. Just weird. It seems it just came out of nowhere.
Sorry. Yeah, their text. They said her text shows a desire to hurt someone, but they don't say what those texts entailed at all, which is annoying. Okay, so at trial, it said Miller, her brown hair pulled into a ponytail, spoke in a strong voice as Wright asked her a series of questions to ensure she understood what she was pleading guilty to and that what she did was and that she was doing so knowingly, intelligently, and voluntarily. Can't talk.
Yeah. But I mean, how much does even somebody at 16 understand about the justice system and spending, like, going to prison or something? Like,
it's a lot to process. Oh, that's for sure.
If I was charged with a crime and somebody was like, do you knowingly and willfully, I'd be like, I don't know, like, how long did you study law? Like, I feel like you need that level to actually understand thoroughly anything you're doing. That's why you rely on, like, lawyers and stuff like that. But
yeah, to tell you to plead guilty or not.
Yeah, damn.
Yeah. So Miller told Wright when he asked her if she had a mental illness that she had depression and an unidentified psychotic disorder for which she was being treated with medication. She responded, "No, thank you, Your Honor," when Wright asked if she wanted to say anything. So that was the end of that, and she was sentenced. Judge Jeffrey Wright sentenced Miller to 12 and a half to 40 years to be served in prison. So it's
12 and a half to 40? 40?
Yeah.
That's quite the stretch.
It's quite the, like, let's see how she's doing mentally, I think. Let's monitor. She probably maybe, I don't know if that means she would be up for parole after that, maybe. She could begin to be eligible at that time, but maybe they're not going to push for it.
I've heard like 10 to 20 where it's like,
yeah,
only half, but I've never heard like 12 and a half to 40. Like, that's such a huge spread.
That's what most things said. I know, it's crazy.
Yeah, like, unless there's the saying, what, 25 to life or something, like, I guess that's kind of also a huge thing.
I think 25 is life here in Canada.
Yeah.
I think you don't even get more than that. Like, because there's some law about not keeping people in absurdly long as to, I don't know, ruin their whole life or something.
That seems such a weird. Yeah.
It's pretty arbitrary when you put it like 12.5 to 40. Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's now serving her sentence at Muncie State Correctional Institution, an all-female prison about 80 miles northwest of Lancaster, located in Lycoming County. And one more chilling detail about the TikTok account, the social media of the crime. She had 2 last posts that came out. I guess, that's funny. We were just talking about no other indications, but like at the time or of the murder or whatever, I guess, is when these showed up. It was a bloody plastic glove discarded on the ground in one, and the other one showed a bloody stuffed giraffe toy. And that caused a bunch of people to flock to the account to try and view it and follow her. And then the app was eventually, they shut down the account. So that was good.
Damn.
That was just kind of gross.
I think I might have heard of that too.
It's grisly, right? It just makes you think that
my followers are gonna love this.
Yeah, you doing it for the clicks, like.
Yeah. Jeez.
Oy. So that's basically the case. Anything else I had was kind of, I guess, me trying to pad it out with me. I was like, what social media crimes are these? Like, are the statistics up now? Like, I don't know. So, like, there's definitely discussions and like studies into it from what I could glean. There was an article from the Atlantic or whatever that was pretty good. That I have some stuff from. Oh yeah, and then I was like clicked on one, but it was like felt like a dissertation. It was called Homicide and Social Media: Global Empirical Evidence, and then like it was millions of pages, but
yeah,
like listen to the jargon of the outline.
In the middle of it just says, "Hey, did anybody read this far?"
Yeah,
just continues.
Well, yeah, it's like just the like chapter notes, or what are they called?
Like the table of contents.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that
just
thing.
like, oh my god.
Study investigates the relationship between social media and homicide. The focus is on a cross-section of 148 countries for the year 2012. The empirical evidence is based on ordinary least squares, Tobit, and quantile regressions.
No, what are those words?
I know, it's like I'm speaking in the travel
Yeah.
website thing again. $B. There's a negative relationship between Facebook penetration and the homicide rate. The findings are contingent. I know, I tried not to laugh. Kelsey, I'm trying to be mature.
Okay.
And the findings are contingent on initial levels of homicide, income levels, and regions. And that's just, the table.
Yeah.
Confidence.
I think income level has always affected everything, so.
That's very true.
Damn. Yeah.
That Atlantic article also had a story about a quick story of a case about two men who were killed in a car sitting outside of one of their mother's houses, just like minding their own business. Jarrell Jackson and Shahjaha McCaskill. I've never seen that name before, so I'm just gonna have to guess that's how it's pronounced. Sorry. Shahjaha. They were only 26. They were sitting outside Jackson's mom house. The two men, both black, had just returned to West Philadelphia. Born and raised. No.
Born and raised.
I know. I can't help it. But they were like, had just been on a trip to Puerto Rico. They just got back together, or like from there. And they're both like not well to do, but like upstanding citizens. One was a mental health technician working in an adolescent psych ward, which, like, good for you.
Yeah.
And the other one, Shah Jaha, worked at his own small cleaning business and as a bartender. And it's believed they were simply and sadly mistaken for a rival Southsider gang member by a Market Street gang, I guess. Okay. So that's why I kept having gang on the brain, I think, when I kept hearing yours. I kept getting a little confused. Yeah. But they had been fighting so openly on social media, an officer had been assigned to monitor the activity of these gangs. He believes they were targeted incorrectly because of this. Within the hour, a Northsider posted a video on Instagram with a caption that appeared to mock the video victims and encourage the rival crew to collect their bodies. And it said, "Aha, pussy, pick 'em up." Pardon my French.
Jeez.
Yeah. So it's like,
I mean, that happens even with police officers when you have like a be on the lookout kind of thing and they don't know the person's name and it just has a description. People get mistaken all the time.
True. Yeah, just from faulty information going out on the police. Or like, not faulty, but yeah, just generic, I guess, information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it happens a lot. You'd be shocked. Like in high school in our psychology class, we were doing, I don't know, we called it kind of like the line game, but basically like we moved all the desks and the chairs out of the way. And then there was a line on the half the class stood on one side and half the class stood on the other. And like if something was relevant to you, you were supposed to come like step forward to the line, and it was supposed to like, it was crazy. It was like we probably did 100 like scenarios, questions, all that kind of stuff, and it really like bonded everybody. And one of them was, have you ever been detained by police or questioned or identity and everything? And there was probably 10 people out of 30 of the people in my class that went forward, and we're like, we're high schoolers and this is already happening. And then like we're comfortable like sharing the stories, and it was like, I was walking down an alley with my friends and like cops came and just like one of them like body checked me to the ground, and like other things that were happening where people just like teenagers just walking down the street.
Holy.
Probably
like, non-white teenagers, unfortunately. Yeah.
Actually, no. It was mostly white people.
Right? It's like, you just look poor. Like,
Yeah,
No.
but it was like it was basically almost 1 in 3 people. And I was like, we're in high
Wow.
school and this has already happened like that consistently in like a
Crazy.
small city even. And it's like, can you imagine a big city? Like,
This city?
yeah.
Big city.
Or
It's
a
a big
bigger
city to
city.
me. Yeah. Oh, I know. But we're fairly
Yeah.
big. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, and in the States, it's even worse, obviously.
Yeah. Like,
Fortunately.
damn.
Yeah, so I guess it is, according to some of the quotes from that article, on the rise. One part said that Jackson and McCaskill died in the first year of a nationwide resurgence in violence that has erased more than 2 decades of gains in public safety. In 2020,
Yeah.
homicides spiked by 30% and fluctuated around that level for the next 2 years. There are early signs that the 2023 rate could show a decrease of more than 10% from last year, but that would still leave it well above pre-pandemic levels.
Yeah,
Which kind of sucks because, like, general crime is kind of on the decline, but then it's like, oh, young people, it's on the rise, and you're like, no. And then, like,
yeah.
all this internet fluffing it all up and stirring it up the pot and everything. It's not good.
Well, that's what happens when you think, what do they call it? I recently saw something that was like the person that coined the term FOMO, like fear of missing out. They just
Okay.
released a new one that they say is almost like as bad now, and it sounds stupid. It's
Oh, no.
phobo, but it's a
Oh,
fear of
God.
better option. So like it's kind of the opposite, like people that always say yes to everything for like a fear of missing out and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Phobo of fear of better option is the opposite. It's people like staying home, always saying no because they don't want to commit to anything in case there's a better option that's going to come along, so they end up just not doing anything. And they're
Oh, okay.
like,
Not
that
out
kind
of
of
just
thing.
us being introverts that don't want to leave our house.
No,
Because
it's
that I
like
can definitely
actually like
feel.
yeah, it's like a fear of being in something and finding out something better is happening, and
Oh,
so why do you
gosh.
commit to this when you could have been doing that? But that's probably not going to
That's
happen. So you said no to
right.
this, so now you're not doing anything.
It seems so silly, yeah, just when you say it like that.
Yeah,
But yeah, people do
and
be
it's
doing
like,
silly things with our brains, our silly little brains.
yeah, so it's kind of the opposite, but it's like, oh, you're like, just now you're just not doing anything, you're not committing to anything, even stuff you would enjoy, like with friends and everything like that, for fear that like something better could come along when it probably won't. So like, if you were
That's
gonna
so
enjoy
weird.
that thing anyway and you would have said yes, like why aren't you saying yes? Like,
Do things that scare you, people.
yeah.
Yeah, that's always good advice.
um
I don't know.
yeah, it was really weird to me. I was like reading the thing and I was like, I can see it, but it's like, why, if you know you're gonna enjoy the thing you got invited to, like why are you saying no because you're afraid something better is gonna come along? It's like, well then you can tell your friend about it and you can all go to the something better, like
Or if we have like
yeah.
social anxiety and stuff, we're like, no, because it's scary, because something could happen and I won't be at home in my
Yeah.
comfy clothes. No, but it sucks with the social media stigma. It's like video games, it's like violent
Yeah.
movies. It's like it's not all bad and it's not all the reasons people do bad things. It can be very good. It can be a good way to connect, and that was the whole argument for like not banning TikTok and stuff, is that it can be a good resource for people to see things that
Yeah.
they wouldn't otherwise get to see, like directly from the source.
I think
But
they have to
yeah,
get better about like people understanding, and especially younger people, that like that's not like realistic. Like the the people's lives that they're portraying on social media.
of
You think
course, but
everybody's
I
got
think
like
we
the
kind
picture
of,
perfect life,
yeah,
that kind
I
of
feel like
stuff.
the like, I don't know, I know my kid, there's like the new generation, I feel like they're pretty smart and savvy having grown up with all this stuff.
I hope
So
so.
I
Yeah.
have hope. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do. There's a good You're Wrong About episode that was like, no, your phones aren't that bad for you or whatever. And then they did
Yeah.
talk about how there was a guy that wrote something about this generation so anxious, but then like I think they said he had flipped and like he had wrote something like completely the opposite or something, which I was just like, that's crazy. Like, do you even believe what you're saying? Like, it's, and they're like, basically, I think the guest's host's argument or whatever was, maybe it's not that have kids on their phones or getting all anxious from being on their phone. It's the shit they're seeing on there. It's the shit that's on the news.
Yeah.
It's like the shit that's actually wrong, that's bothering
Yeah.
them.
Well, because before, like, you were focused on, I guess, what was happening more so in your community or like maybe in your province or state. Like what's happening, a lot of stuff was, it was more local. It was stuff that maybe you could have like an effect on, or that affected you a little bit more.
Sure.
Where now, because stuff is, now because of like more access to stuff, it's good, but you're also getting bombarded with all the bad around the world,
and it feels
like,
very out of your control.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, like all these like conflicts that are happening, but you're not just hearing about like the big ones like wars, you're hearing about like smaller stuff, like even some of these murder cases and that kind of stuff,
protests, like, and all of it.
Yeah, so it feels like, of course, the news wants to cover that kind of stuff, but when that's all you're focusing on, or that's all you're being fed, that's how you're perceiving the world, as it's just bad all the time and all that kind of stuff.
Can become a very dangerous sort of echo chamber-y thing.
Yes, and all the algorithms are designed that way, because when you see something and interact with it, then they're going to show you more of that specific thing. So maybe like for everybody's algorithm, you got to look out cute animal videos, watch a panda falling down or something, and then you'll get a few of those videos, and it'll help balance out.
The one to be on, sort of, that I'm like, I must have liked a few videos, like sign language-y, learning sign language videos. Okay, nice. Some of the ones that really make me laugh are the ones where they're like, they're signing at like a concert for like a really dirty song, like getting low, all these different ones, and like I love those, and so now I get like a bunch of like also wholesome like sign language content, like do you want to learn ASL, like all these different little videos, and I'm like, oh, okay. I kind of like it.
I know we had, because in my high school, we had 2 individuals that needed an interpreter, and like they had hearing aids and everything, but it was just easier to always have an interpreter and everything too. So when we had people come to present to our high school, like the person would be behind them doing sign language.
Exactly.
And all of the presenters would always be like, oh, I want to see what the signs are for certain words, so they just start rattling off words. And then it wasn't part of the thing, but they were just like, oh, hold on, I just gotta find out, because sometimes they wanted to know like different animals, where it kind of would distract them. They'd see the girl like doing the sign language out of the corner of their eye, and they'd be like, hold on, what was that word? And they'd keep saying the word over and over again.
Don't abuse the interpreter.
No, funny. She was really fun, because I shared some classes with them, so she didn't mind it. And
I've met some nice
like
ones
we
too,
were with her from for like grade 10, 11, and 12, so like it was the same interpreter for like 3 years all through high school. Wow. So like we all knew her. Every assembly, every day she was there with them, and it was just funny because it happened so consistently. All the presenters would be like, oh my god, this is so cool. Like,
how do you say that? So, I could totally get it. It's fascinating to learn and watch, and maybe I should learn some.
I always wanted to, because in high school, when like language wasn't a requirement anymore, and they're like, oh, do you want to keep going? I was like, I'm not really interested in learning any of these languages, but I always said if like sign language had been part of it, I definitely would have taken sign language, because that's something that like realistically would be beneficial. Yes, like,
it could come in handy for sure. I could see it.
More so than like Russian? I don't know. Like somebody, a lot of people like that maybe know enough words that you can basically communicate with them, but yeah, trying to like it's a lot harder, I find, if you're deaf or anything like that. Just like basic communication, it's just a lot harder.
Yeah, because there's a lot of writing. Sometimes we had the one or two that would come into Edmonton West office, and then they just want a couple movie tickets, and then here's your paper, and you gotta hi, go ahead and write down and then you write it back and forth. But definitely to your point with the I'm done. I'm not read. There was I don't have anything else, but there was they talked about in the article in the Atlantic, kind of to what you were saying about how it's so much less of a little community now because of this guy put it well. This violence prevention worker said, when I was young and I'd get into an argument with somebody at school, the only people who knew about it were me and the people at school, said James Timpson, a violence prevention worker in Baltimore. Not right now. 500 people know about it before you even leave school, and then you got this big war going on. So it was kind of like they talked about, you could have, if a cop doesn't see something online and people are all talking and rallying, and they're like, all of a sudden you got 1,000 people out there armed in a space, and there's no cops there because they weren't aware of it, because they weren't monitoring the online chat or whatever. It's definitely it's very scary how it can blow out of control so fast and reach so many people now. So that sucks. We got to do something about it. It's so easy to say all the problems, and then it's like, well, what do we do? I mean, definitely having people
fix your algorithm.
Yes. Yeah,
fix your algorithm.
What did Facebook do? Take off fact checking off news or something equally shitty?
And then even this thing about them blocking a whole bunch of news in Canada. Even researching cases is hard. It'll say oh, this isn't available in your country, and it's like, oh great, so we're the internet is supposed to be available, and you're not making it available for people.
Exactly. The speech is not all that free or whatever. It's not good. I guess what we're saying is TikTok is not the problem. But that's not the solution either. I don't know.
No.
Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. So what are we talking about next week? I think we have something a little bit more uplifting, as you were saying, when we were picking the topics.
I can't remember what it is.
Oh, you suggested, because it was Black History Month, we focus on some great historical
Black history.
Yeah, some black figures, black people, man.
Something to celebrate Black history. We haven't narrowed it down, but it'll be something.
Some of the people that have done something to benefit society or something like that. So that should be interesting.
A celebratory episode.
Yay.
Maybe we'll all learn
not so depressing. Right. And this is the episode we weren't even drinking for, so that was the most depressing part of all. No. Just kidding. All right. Well, hope you liked it, and we'll catch you next week.
Yeah, bye.
Keep it cryptic.
Thank you for listening to Castles and Cryptids. We love all our listeners and appreciate every subscriber, every new review, every listen, rate, and download. Our music is by Kobe Off Air, and our cover art is by Antonio Garcia. We are also a proud member of Darkcast Network, where you can find the best and spookiest of all indie podcasts. Follow us on social media, where we are at Castles and Cryptids on mostly all of the things, now including TikTok. Check out our bonus content on Patreon. Cryptid clashes, video minisodes of your host making asses of themselves, Ask Me Anything, quizzes, other special episodes, and more. Starting at just $2 a month, you can get 1 to 2 extra episodes, depending on your level. We produce, edit, and research everything ourselves, and any support you can lend helps us to keep it cryptic.